Welcome back, guys, to the recap of round number 10 of the Austrian Team Chess Championship. Today I played against Hungarian Grandmaster Gergely Antal and I had the black pieces. Let's jump right into the game before I spoiler anything, even though I would like to do so. I've never played Antal before. I just know that he's a pretty solid and stable Grandmaster from Hungary. I think his peak was around 2590 or so, and yeah, that's basically all I know about him. He went for e4, which I expected. He's an e4 player and doesn't really play anything else apart from that. Some games with d4, but I only prepared for e4 in this game. I went for e5. I wanted to play fairly solid today, and it quickly became clear that my opponent wanted to do the same after he played the 4 knights with bishop b5 here, which I did not prepare for this game per se. So after a quick think, I went for my main weapon, which is the move bishop b4. Recently in the Sligo Open, I played the move bishop d6, intending to play for more than simply equality, because I think that bishop d6 is probably the only move where white cannot immediately exchange, basically, which can lead to a very, very drawish position. After bishop b4, it happened short castle, and now he took on c6, d takes c6, and now knight takes c5, which is played sometimes, even on the highest level. There was quite a recent game where I believe that Yi won against Sam Savian in this line with the white pieces. I'll show you what happened there, at least from my memory, in a second. My opponent here actually thought for a bit and then went for knight takes e5. The other move, which is playable for white, is d3, which leads to a more rich middle game, kind of like a Spanish exchange or anti-Berlin structure, where I also have quite a lot of experience with, so I would not have been too worried to enter this position. Yeah, after the game he also told me that he was not really that ambitious today. His league so far hasn't been going so well, and he was just kind of happy to have a peaceful game today, as far as I understood. So he took on e5, I took on c3. My opponent told me that he was mostly familiar with only familiar with rook e8 here, but I think that bishop takes c3 is supposed to be the main move here. Again, we will not use any engine today whatsoever, like in the previous recaps. After rook e8, I guess it can also be similar if white goes knight d3, take, knight takes e4. I think it leads to a similar position, which is also quite drawish. Then I was thinking, like, if there is maybe the option to go d4 here. I'm not so sure about. I think I have to take on c3 here to regain the pawn. And then knight takes e4. I was thinking if there are some tactics here, but probably it should not work. Like knight takes f7, knight on e4 is protected, so nothing is there. And well, maybe queen f3, but also here it's hard to believe. I mean, black is so solid. Both knight f6 and knight d6 to me now don't look like they should be a big issue for black in this position. Yeah, but I took on c3. To my knowledge, this was the main move here. D takes c3, and now knight takes e4. We have a fully symmetrical position here, and here my opponent actually decided to take on d8 after some thought. I think that how the game of Yi went was that he played bishop f4, and now there was quite a nice trick that after bishop f5, queen f3, I believe that Savian here played knight d6. It might not be the exact position, but there was this trick with knight takes c6 with the point that if b takes c6 comes, then bishop takes d6. And yeah, the bishop on f5 is attacked, so if black takes back, then white has won a pawn in this whole process. Yeah, I did recently also check this line, so I knew some ideas. Like, for example, after queen f3, there is this move, knight d2, which just makes a draw basically immediately, or it's just gonna be quite equal. The same idea I think also exists here. Like after bishop f4, queen f6, if white goes queen f3 here, there should be knight d2 in this position. And again, we have that equal position with opposite colored bishops. Yeah, my opponent took on d8, rook takes d8, rook e1. And I was actually thinking like how I could maybe try to keep the game alive. Like I had already two pretty uneventful draws now, and I didn't have much against another draw perhaps in this game, having the black pieces, but I thought it would have been quite it would have been nice maybe to play a bit more of a normal game. But of course in this case it's quite difficult being black and choosing bishop b4. I mean, if I want to fight, of course I would need to go for something else, maybe even on the first move. So of course I understand that I kind of brought all of this onto myself. Not that I'm like super disappointed by the opening outcome, because what more do you want against a strong opponent? I went knight c5 here. The knight is not even attacked, but the thing is, like, if I develop with bishop f5, then I think I could be in some trouble after g4. He's making luft for his king, and at the same time I will probably have some problems to not lose the knight on e4. I even thought about this in the game, like if I can do something like this, and then bishop d5, this actually could be quite good for me. I was not so sure about it. But he also doesn't need to take on e4 here, and I just gave him g4 for free, which is probably not really a weakening move, but can be more useful. Also, he doesn't have to go for g4, that's another story. I went for knight c5. I also considered knight d6 and then just bishop f5, which I think should also be dead equal. With knight c5, my idea was actually to have some possibilities to play knight a4, to play against those pawns. Like, for example, if bishop e3, then this was my intention. And maybe I could get somewhere, because it's a bit awkward for him with the b2 and with the c3 pawn. And if rook b1, he can still never play b3, and I will get bishop f5, and all of a sudden I might be getting somewhere here. Even here, probably white is quite solid, even though now I already have some tricks, like maybe knight takes b2, even though there's still g4 in this position, because white cannot take immediately because of back rank mate, but g4 is probably winning a piece for white here. Yeah, but he went knight d3 here, and then I realized that my original intention with knight a4 is not really probably a great idea, because he also has counterplay against the c7 pawn. I think that rook e7 was what I didn't like now, and he just starts picking up pawns. Can probably win this one back. But also here, it seems like if one side can be better, it's probably white, because the rook is on the 7th rank. He has the bishop, which is probably a better piece in this position. So I didn't really see the reason to go into that. So I decided to just take on d3, and now we reach this endgame, which of course is dead equal, but I think that I actually did get like a tiny little pull later on, because my opponent was maybe a little bit careless in some stages. But of course, it should just be dead equal here. I played bishop e6. Strategically speaking, a desirable move would be to go c5 here to avoid d4. But I thought concretely that he could play rook e7. Also, this has to be a draw. Like, there are many options here. For example, bishop e6, take on c7, take on d3. I was looking at something like this. But I didn't want to even allow him this chance to maybe play a4 and then a5, and yeah, but of course also this, I can just go rook d7 or something along those lines, and also here nothing should ever happen. Yeah, and this should also be quite a simple draw. But I went bishop e6, not really seeing the reason to even allow his rook to the 7th rank. He did get d4, and long term I do have some issues with the c7 pawn. Funny thing is, even if I lose the c7 pawn, it should be quite a simple draw, just because opposite color bishop endgames are so drawish. I went rook d5 with the idea to play c5 to get rid of my doubled pawns. He went bishop e3, stopping that. If bishop f4, this was just my idea to go c5 here, and if he takes here, everything gets exchanged. And if he takes on c5, then yeah, also everything gets exchanged, and it's just a draw. Yeah, so he played bishop e3, which stops c5, and now I played a5, which I think is a decent move, just gaining space here. And if he ever plays a3, then at least, or if he doesn't play a3, the pawn on a2 can often be hanging. Otherwise, it's not so easy for white to make any improvements. Yeah, like if he goes f3, I'm gonna go a4. Some ideas with rook b5 exist, and yeah, this was my idea. And if he goes a3, then all of his light squares are very weak. The position is still a dead draw, but I thought that this should be in my favor to have this inclusion. Yeah, he went b3, I went a4, and now c4. Rook d7 back, and already here he was thinking for a bit, and he definitely doesn't have the better side of the draw, neither do I, but at least I do have some type of ideas, like to play for b5 mostly. I think if he goes for something like f3, for example, maybe I could do that immediately. Even this, he should still make a draw fairly easily, but just for example, if white is really careless and goes for something like this, now it could start to become more unpleasant, at least if he continues to be careless. Like here already bishop d5, rook a7 could be coming, and I can maybe start to create some chances. But also here I think usually he has this move, rook c1. Yeah, but he played rook b1 first. And now I played f6. Another idea was to go b5 here. Again, with the same idea, like if he takes here, that was actually one of my issues here, that rook b1 actually prepares all of this, because now the pawn on b5 is going to be hanging in this line. Yeah, so I decided to go f6 just to make some space for my king and bring the king to f7. And now he took on a4, which of course is not a great move if it doesn't work out concretely, because white is damaging the pawn structure, but here he has sufficient counterplay against the pawn on b7. If I really want to push to the maximum, I should probably go b6 here, just not to allow his idea of taking. Yeah, I could try this. I mean, still it doesn't really change the evaluation in the position. He can probably go something like f3, king f2, king f7, and I can slowly try to prepare this plan of going b5 maybe at the right time. But I went f6, still thinking that even if he goes for that, I might have some ideas to at least pretend to have a tiny bit of a pull. And this is what happened. Bishop takes e4, rook takes b7. If I play b6 here, then he has rook b4, by the way, which keeps both pawns. So I took on c4, rook takes b7, rook takes a4, and at least I'm gonna win the pawn on a2 by force. He's definitely also gonna win either of those pawns, but in the ensuing endgame I will have the better bishop than he does. This was my main strategy, because my bishop always has the nice outpost on d5 and his bishop is rather passive on e3. He went rook c1 here. I went bishop d5. Another option was to take on a2, rook takes c6, bishop d5. And I thought here he can give a check and go back to c1, and it should be quite similar to the game, this type of endgame. Something like that also happened in the game, just with one more pair of rooks on the board, but at the very least he can probably exchange them with rook b7 coming quickly. So in the game I went for bishop d5, rook b2, and now I took on a2. I didn't think that I could keep both pawns on the board. Like if I go for, let's say, rook d8, intending rook a8, then, I mean, he can either play rook c2. Actually, that was the main thing I was considering, rook c2, and if this, he can even make some move like h3, for example. And if I take on a2, then, like, without rooks, there's no chance at all to win. Now it's just a dead equal endgame. And yeah, again, if I take with the bishop, then the pawn on c6 is just falling. So I decided to take immediately, and then we reached this endgame, which, yeah, of course is a draw, but if one side can play for something, it's probably black, just because the bishop is much better than the bishop on e3. And I do have some sort of plan to gain space on the king side, and this is what I did now with g5. I already thought that maybe a tiny bit more of a precise move is to go h4 for him, just not to give me the chance to play g5. But, well, maybe it's also not so clear, because I could also try to bring my king to f5 and then play g5. But yeah, I think something like this is probably the best for white, just to get this set up, then wait with the rook on the second rank, and nothing should happen. Yeah, so he played rook a1, g5, king h2, and h5, and now already, like with the move rook e1, I was not so sure what he was trying to do. I played rook b7, and then he played h4, because he was already a little bit worried. He told me that if I get h4, king g6, f5, rook b2, f4, he could have some problems on the second rank. I don't even need to turn on the engine here that it's gonna say 0-0 no matter what happens. But if I can just briefly show you, like if he goes rook e2, for example, I would have probably gone for h4 here. And now, like, what does he do? Yeah, even if he goes f3, for example, I would go maybe king here. Still, it's probably anyway completely dead equal. Maybe I shouldn't. Should I push h4 immediately? I still did have some sort of idea, but now that I look at it, I'm not so sure what actually was the idea. I mean, maybe to push f5 g4 at some time. His king can be a little bit passive, but never really weak. So, yeah, I mean, to conclude this, also this is this should be pretty pretty drawish, to say the very least. But you know, he did see some danger there. Yeah, at least if we look at the endgame a few moves before here, probably before he was a bit in less danger, if you could say so. Anyway, he went for h4. I took the pawn, which seemed like the only real try for me. And he does have some issues to regain the pawn, because whenever he tries to grab it with the king, then I can take on g2. And I do have some play against the g2 pawn in this position as well. That's why I played king e6 now to prepare rook g7. He played rook a8, rook g7, f3. I think that was all fairly logical. And now bishop c4 with the idea to play bishop f4 next. He played rook e8 check, and this actually surprised me quite a lot, because I played king f5 and now he went back to a8 because he realized that he has to stop the threat of bishop f1, because now after bishop f1 he still has rook a2. I don't think that this changes the evaluation at all here, but I was expecting him to do something like rook c8. This was, for example, one of the moves, and here I didn't really see anything better than to probably repeat the moves. Yeah, but he went for this, and I was for like 1 second I was a bit optimistic, just because he played this sequence now, but I realized that I still don't have anything, because after bishop f1 he just plays rook a2. For whatever reason, I thought that I have h3 in this position and he has to take back with the pawn. Then I achieved something, because his king is still a bit weak, and the pawn here could be a bit of a target if I get the bishop back. Still a dead draw, but then I realized that he can just take with the king. I don't know why I forgot about that before. So after some thought, I decided to go rook e7, and after bishop f2, rook e2, which sets up one final trap. A teammate of mine actually approached us after the game and asked why didn't play rook a5 in this position, and thought that maybe white is winning all of a sudden because my bishop on f1 looks like it's trapped. The thing is, after king g6, king g1, my idea was to play h3 now, and after king takes f1, there's this move, h2, and all of a sudden I'm probably winning at this endgame, because he cannot stop me from getting a queen. And otherwise, if he takes on h3, then all of a sudden I'm a pawn up and have pretty decent practical chances. Yeah, so that was the whole trick, but unfortunately white can take on e2, and that's what my opponent did, offered a draw, which I accepted, because yeah, nothing much else to say in this endgame, just a dead draw. Yeah, I did not see anything else to do in this position, because like at some point, if I try to activate my rook over here, he can also play bishop f2 and then pick up the pawn on h4, after which even he has the better structure, not that it changes the valuation much. But I didn't see any way to make any more progress here. Again, without any engine today, but I don't think it was necessarily important to turn on the engine in this game. Let me know if I missed something, if there was some huge chance for me to get a great advantage. I don't believe that was the case, but that was it for today. Yeah, maybe not the game which some of you have been hoping to see. Sorry for the maybe disappointing game for some of you to follow. I still hope that some of the explanations were useful, and maybe you learned something about opposite colored bishop endgames today. Yeah, so last round is tomorrow, last round of this season of the Austrian League, and yeah, I will record the recap probably in the evening tomorrow because I'll travel home immediately after the game. Maybe also on Monday. We'll see about that. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm already rambling, so I'll call it quits now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.